Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're breaking down a skill that can honestly make or break any project you're working on. It's called stakeholder analysis, and it's all about the people. Let's dive in.
So let's start with a big question. Why do so many projects just fall apart? We love to blame the tech or say the budget wasn't big enough. But you know what? More often than not, the real reason is a lot more human. It's about the people.
So, here's our game plan for today. We're going to cover 4 key things. First up, what even is a stakeholder? Then we'll talk about why they're so ridiculously important. After that, I'll show you how to actually analyze them. And finally, how to use that knowledge to make your project a success.
All right, let's get into part 1. The word stakeholder gets tossed around in meetings all the time, right? But what does it really mean? Let's cut through the jargon.
Simply put, a stakeholder is anyone or anything that has a stake in what you're doing. It could be one person, like an accountant. It could be a whole team, like the entire finance department. And yep, you see that little robot there? It can even be a system. If your project touches it, it's a stakeholder.
Now you can pretty much split all stakeholders into 2 big buckets, internal and external. Let's imagine our project is fixing a delay in paying our suppliers. Well, the accounts payable team, they're your internal stakeholders. The supplier who's tapping their foot waiting for their money, that's your external stakeholder. Simple as that.
And this is where the definition gets really modern and super important. We're not just dealing with people anymore. Think about it. If your project relies on, say, a specific payment gateway or an AI model to work, then that system is a stakeholder. It has rules, it has limitations, and ignoring it can totally sink your project.
Okay, so we've got a handle on who they are. Now for the really big question, why are they so critical? Why are they basically the lifeblood of your project?
This is it. This is the absolute core of it all. Stakeholders aren't just people who are affected by your project. They are the ones who define it. They hold all the clues. They know what the real problem is, and they're the only ones who can tell you what success actually looks like. If you ignore them, you're flying blind.
So what happens when we don't listen? Well, the risk is absolutely massive. In fact, failing to talk to the right people at the right time is pretty much the #1 reason projects get stuck in endless loops of confusion and delay. And this isn't just theory. Here's a real-world story. A project needed an SAP consultant to help with an integration. That consultant, a single external stakeholder, wasn't available when they needed him. And guess what? The entire project screeched to a halt. It just goes to show how one key person can hold all the cards.
Okay, so we're convinced. They're super important. That brings us to part 3. How in the world do you actually analyze all these people and systems in a way that makes sense?
The good news? There's a really simple 3-step framework. First, you just identify them. Make a big list of everyone and everything involved. Next, you analyze that list. You try to understand where they're coming from. And finally, you plan. You build a strategy for how you're going to work with them. Identify, analyze, plan.
Now, this table is pure gold for that analyze step. Let's go back to our senior accountant. Their role is clear. Their attitude? They're overworked, so they're totally positive about a fix. But look at these last 2. Authority? They don't have the power to sign off on the final solution. But their influence? It's sky high. If they don't buy into the new process, it's doomed. Understanding the difference between authority and influence is a total game changer.
And that brings us to our final section. Look, having a beautiful analysis is great, but it's totally useless if it just sits in a document. We have to turn that analysis into action.
So here's a really critical distinction to make. Communication is not collaboration. Communication is one way. It's you sending a status update email. It's about keeping people in the loop. Collaboration is 2-way. It's getting in a room for a workshop to build something together. Your plan needs to have a mix of both.
A really solid plan answers all these questions for every single stakeholder. Your project sponsor, for example, probably doesn't need a daily technical email. A weekly summary is perfect. But your end users, they probably need to be in a couple of workshops every week. It's all about giving the right information to the right people in the right way.
So if you take away just one thing today, please let it be this. Stakeholder analysis is not a box-ticking exercise. It's not about filling out a spreadsheet. It's about building genuine, working relationships. That's what makes great projects happen.
And that brings us to the end. I'll leave you with this one question to think about. In whatever you're working on right now, who is that one crucial person you haven't talked to enough? Go find them. It might just be the most important thing you do all week. Thanks for watching The Explainer.